to feel this is their year. They must be playing defensive. Michael's not coming up for this one. Thinks he's done enough. Is this their moment? Into Sheringham, and Solskjaer has won it! Manchester United have reached the promised land. Oli Solskjaer, 2 substitutes, have scored the 2 goals in stoppage time.
4,
And the treble looms large.
1.
Hello, welcome to the United Community Channel, and we're back with another news show. These news shows are going to come thick and fast now over the coming weeks. I have to say, obviously, as the closer we get to the start of the transfer window, and we've got some interesting news to talk about today, guys. Obviously, the main headlines, as you can see, and you know anybody who's seen the thumbnail, is in relation to Kim Min-jae and Manchester United being heavily linked with him. So we're going to talk about him. We're going to talk about some midfield options. Ruben Neves has been linked with Manchester United, a potential Chelsea midfielder that may be up for sale in the summer. We're going to talk about, of course, as well, we're going to talk about the news that's been breaking in relation to, I suppose, Qatar, and, you know, they want to bring in some maybe former Manchester United players. In what role? That will remain to be seen, but we'll talk about that as well. We're going to talk about Jude Bellingham, some interesting reports about him as well. Of course, the striker options, Victor Osimhen, some maybe backup options of a lad who's actually playing at the moment that we're watching, Lautaro Martinez. So plenty to get into. And of course, get your thoughts and comments into the chat as well. Love to hear your opinions and all of that good stuff as well. Who have we got? Marley is in. Good to see you. Jamie is there as well. Greenwood and Ahmed, did you hear about that? I did. We're going to get into it as well. Ben is there as well. Good to see you guys. Drop a like on the video if you haven't done so already. I do appreciate it. But look, let's get into the, I suppose, the main talking point that we're looking at here. And obviously Manchester United, you know, are looking to strengthen in the summer. And Kim Min-jae is, you know, one of the most, I suppose, sought after centre backs in Europe at the moment. And look, he's after doing great stuff with Napoli this season. It's only his first season with him, and they've won the Serie A for the first time in 33 years. I think he signed from, was it Fenerbahce for something like 18 million only last year. So, look, top talent, and I think it's an area that United could really do with improving. I think obviously, since Martinez and Varane have been out injured, we've had Lindelof and we've had Luke Shaw there as a makeshift centre back, and they've been doing well. Look, Luke Shaw made a mistake for a handball against Brighton, and you know, obviously David De Gea made a big mistake then against West Ham, but they've been relatively good in terms of goals that they, you know, in terms of goals conceded. Let me put it that way. I think we don't have a centre back that we can rotate in and out, you know. And I think ideally I would like to have a centre back like a Kim Min-jae, for example, that we could, you know, bring in and rotate maybe each. If you talked about Varane, Martinez, and let's say Kim Min-jae, for example, each centre back plays every 2 games, for example. You rotate in and out. I think Varane and Martinez play when they're fit because they are so clear of our other centre backs. And I think if we got a player like a Kim Min-jae, I think that would certainly make sense. And I think it would maybe lessen the gap in relation to whoever the backup might be. Varane, for example, is not getting any younger, and he's had a couple of injuries this season now. It would be nice to be able to give him a rest, for example. But let's get into what the reports are suggesting here. Look, it says here, even though nobody knows what is going to happen with the potential takeover of Manchester United, reports in Italy suggest the Reds have already kick-started their quest for transfers in the summer window. It is believed that United are pressing ahead with talks over a move for Napoli centre-back Kim Min-jae. Manager Ten Hag has a number of positions to improve this season, the centre-forward being the priority. But however, it sounds like Ten Hag wants to improve the defence too. Sorry, let me make that bigger for you. If we scroll down here then, according to Tutto Mercato, United are in advanced talks over a move for Kim Min-jae and suggest we could pay between 50 and 60 million euro for his signature this summer. Now, the important thing to note here is he's got a release clause. Let me see. Does it mention it on this one? Here we go. So Napoli could lose Kim Min-jae if United pay his release clause, worth around £43 million as early as June. Now, from what I believe, his release clause ends on the 1st of July. And anybody who wants to pay or wants to buy him after that date then will have to fork up whatever the asking price is from Napoli at that stage. And again, this has fallen well into United's hands in relation to maybe the opposite of what we've seen last year. And, you know, it's hard to mention the whole Frankie de Jong saga again, but dragging on and dragging on and dragging on for so long is not what we want to see as United fans. It really isn't. So I think the fact that Kim Min-jae has got a release clause that ends in June, at the end of June, is a positive step for United. Right, let's get it done. Let's get it done fast, and hopefully we can improve our defense even further, And look, it's not the most prioritized area in relation to Ten Hag. Obviously, we know the number 9 is the main one, getting the centre forward in. We're actually doing quite well in relation to not conceding as many goals. Obviously, we know David De Gea is up there for clean sheets in the Premier League this season. Our problem with our goal difference is at the other end of the field. But when a player like this comes up for 50 million euros, you have to be in for him. You really do. And I think United should be. Now, there is going to be competition for him. And let me have a check. Where did I see it? I think I saw it here. So meanwhile, another outlet claimed that Kim Min-jae is on Liverpool and Spurs transfer list as well. So there is going to be competition there. Of course there is when you have a player like him. And he really done well in the Champions League as well, which was interesting. And there's going to be big competition for him. So I don't think we're going to get it all our own way. But I mean, if you had a choice, if we get into top 4, again, this top 4 is so important. It really is so important. If we get into top 4, oh, what a goal! Edin Dzeko just got an absolute screamer. Inter are 1 up. But anyway, sorry, I digress. So if United get top 4, it's going to be at the expense of Liverpool. Okay. And is he going to go from having such a great season, winning the league, in winning Serie A, playing well in the Champions League, to dropping down to Europa League? Probably not. Spurs are definitely not going to be in the Champions League. So I think it gives us a huge advantage. I really do. So let's hope that's the case. Let's see who we got in. Shane is in. Good to see you. Alex is there as well. Irish lad is in as well. Oshin says, can't say I agree with rotation. Maybe I'm old school, but I like my 2 centre halves and keeper to be as ever present as possible. It's a good point. I understand, Oshin, absolutely. I would like to be able to rotate players in and out, though, I have to say. Especially at the latter ends of the season. Like you look at, we've played more games than any team in the top 5 leagues, and it's because we're in 4 or 5 competitions, whatever it was. So, I mean, all hands on deck, really. Irish Dad says, Varane back up to Kim. Varane is always injured. Yeah, well, again, competition is key, really, isn't it? And I think the more competition you can have within your squad, the healthier your squad will be. Bringing in a centre forward is going to cost 100 to 150 million. Yeah, we're going to get into the striker options now in a moment. Oshin says, told you in a members chat, we need to take De Gea's form with a lot of salt. Been found out now without Martinez, especially in front of him. So yeah, and Stumpy is in as well. Good to see you, pal. Thanks for joining us. So yeah, look, I mean, it's interesting in relation to Kim Min-jae. I would like to see him sign for Manchester United. I really would. I think it'd be a brilliant addition to the squad. I really do. And I think it would bring great competition. Good night. See you in the morning. Night. So yeah, I do. I think it'd bring great competition. And the more competition we can get, the better. Now, moving on to midfield, and a player that I think a lot of Manchester United fans like, and we've been linked with before, is that of, if I can pull him up, is Ruben Neves. Now, these reports are coming out today. Now, again, look, the depth of these reports, who knows? You know what I mean? But we're here to report the news, obviously, and get everyone's opinion on what you might think. And doesn't mean these kind of things are always going to happen. Of course, we know Manchester United tend to be linked with, Inter are 2-0 up. Jeez, that was some goal. Sorry, I've got one eye on it. They're blowing AC Milan away here. There's only 10 minutes gone. Mkhitaryan with the goal. Old United. Jesus. Anyway, let's get back to this. So, Manchester United make an approach to sign Ruben Neves. Manchester United could make another attempt to sign Wolves midfielder Ruben Neves this summer. Fans will remember that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer always seemed to appreciate the Portuguese international and held an interest in signing him. However, a move did not materialise. Under Ten Hag, any pursuit of the Portuguese international has died down for the most part, with the new manager preferring to target Barcelona's Frankie de Jong. Interest in Neves hasn't totally been eliminated, though, with reports linking United to him still coming through this season. According to Spanish outlet Sport, Manchester United have already made an approach to sign the midfielder this summer. Barcelona are another club that are keen on signing Neves, with interest ramping up in recent weeks. The Spanish side are currently ahead in the race as the midfielder has prioritised a move to La Liga over United. Now, again, look, I like Neves, I have to say, I do. And getting away from how good of a footballer he is, I love his mentality. I love his desire, his hunger, his drive, all of that stuff. And I think he would make a very, very good player under Ten Hag. And I think these are the kind of players we're seeing a common theme with Ten Hag in terms of who he likes to sign, in terms of mentality. You know, these so-called mentality monsters. And look, I think mentality monsters might be a bit of a stretch, but certainly he has got the right mentality to be a Manchester United player. I think he would fit in perfectly into Old Trafford. And it's something that I wouldn't be against seeing. I think he's a good age. He's an experienced player on top of his mentality. And he's played in the Premier League before. And that cannot be underestimated. You know, it can't be understated either. I mean, playing in the Premier League, and it goes back to the striker options that we're going to talk about in a few minutes. You know, I think playing in the Premier League, Harry Kane has played in the Premier League, and we'll get into that in a moment. Victor Osimhen hasn't, you know. So we know the Premier League is the best league in the world. It's the fastest league in the world. It's the most physical league in the world. So you can have players that come from other leagues that are absolutely balling it up in other leagues and just become shrinking violets in the Premier League. So I think being linked with players like Ruben Neves that have, you know, that are tried and tested, that have, you know, worn the jersey, you know, in England, I think it says an awful lot. So I certainly wouldn't be against this. I really wouldn't. And again, you know, mentality plays an awful lot, you know, when I look at who we're looking to sign. Let's see what people are saying here. Oshin says, I like Neves, good age, and will give good continuity for rotation. Absolutely. Ben says, yes, sign Neves, always gives 100% and signs Sabitzer permanently. There we go. Shane says, sorry for being negative, but if we don't get the oil money, we will not be spending anything close to 100 million in the summer. We have no money and are being bought on more debt by Ineos and will be mid-table. All right, okay, so there's a bit of contrast coming in from Shane. Cottle is in as well, good to see you. Irish Lad says, Eric Ten Hag will definitely go back in for Frankie de Jong, McAllister, Kim and Kane would be an unbelievable transfer window. Yeah, that would be absolutely ideal. I think all that you're really missing there is maybe a right back and a backup. I think we're going to be in for a goalkeeper, because obviously we need some competition for De Gea. But that certainly would be unbelievable. Niall says, enough said. If he says he wants La Liga, no point chasing a player where his first choice is not United. Well, that's certainly understandable as well, Niall. And the one thing I would say about that is it's always important not to I suppose, cut all ties just because he prefers somewhere else. You know, we know the shit that Barcelona are in terms of financial fair play, and they're going to have to sell to buy and all of that. So, you know, we're looking at, obviously, Bush gets announced today that he's going to be leaving Barcelona at the end of the season. He's on big wages. So it's going to be interesting. Oh, geez, Inter Milan hit the post. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens with them. So I wouldn't be writing it off entirely. And I think keeping tabs on him and keeping an open line of communication with him and his representatives is always a good thing. Alex says we should sign Zlatan, a good young player with lots of potential with loads of years left. Let's see. Shane says be lucky to get 50 if Ineos buys us. Oshin says, if the Qataris don't come in, it'll be Calvert-Lewin and James Ward-Prowse. Oh, no, please, no. Anyway. But yeah, look, let's see what happens. Let's hope it's not all that kind of doom and gloom. Now, look, another midfielder who is potentially going to be on the move, who's currently playing in the Premier League this season, is this guy. Kovacic. Now, reports today have suggested that Chelsea have accepted that they are likely to lose Mateo Kovacic this summer amid interest in the midfielder from Bayern Munich, Manchester City, and Manchester United. And that's coming from Jacob Steinberg in The Guardian. Now, look, again, we go back to it. Another player who has played in the Premier League, like Ruben Neves, I think he's obviously a little bit older, but I'm not 100% sure what his age is. Let me just double check here. Mateo Kovacic, he's in his 30s, I think. Is he? Let me see. He is 29. So, look, I mean, still a good age. Now, look, I mean, if you're asking me here now, would I prefer Kovacic or would I prefer Ruben Neves? I would go with Ruben Neves because obviously he's younger, you know, and Kovacic, don't get me wrong, is a very good player. And I think there is certain opportunities that may rear their head this summer in relation to Chelsea players. Chelsea have bought astronomical in the last 12 months since Todd Bowley has been there. So I think there may be opportunities there for us to nab it. I mean, you could probably get him for 15 or 20 million, you know. Now I know the talk over the last few days has been that United are one of the older teams in the Premier League. I think, are we 12th or 13th oldest, something like that. So obviously you want to be buying younger players, you know, and we're going to talk about, this guy next. So obviously we know, you know, younger players, but I mean, depending on price, I wouldn't be all against Kovacic in terms of a good squad player. You know, if you have a good starting 11, and I think Kovacic would fall into the kind of Sabitzer category, and I don't see if we sign Sabitzer, I don't see us going for a Kovacic, because obviously Bayern Munich are interested in this guy as well. So if Bayern Munich are going to be, let's say Bayern Munich change their mind and say, no, we want Sabitzer back. You can't have him on a full-time deal. Then they're not going for a Kovacic, and that's where United could maybe step in. But I mean, if Bayern Munich are happy for us to keep Sabitzer for 20 million, for example, that would probably pave the way for them to move on a Kovacic, for example, who they are basically interested in. But look, again, it's not something I would be against. I really wouldn't. Let's see. Alex says, is there any other strikers on the market, or is it only Kane and Osman? I'm going to get into that now in 1 minute, because United have been linked with another striker. We'll get into it in a moment. Shane says, I'd like to see him. That would be great shout. Probably get him on the cheap, given they have like 60 midfielders. Cottle says, Kovacic would be a good backup. And Jamie says, Camavinga would be a good buy because they're going for Bellingham. Nah, Camavinga is going to be the future, Jamie, of Real Madrid's midfield, along with, if they go with Bellingham, him. Like, could you imagine Tchouaméni, Bellingham and Camavinga as your three in midfield over the next 10 years for Real Madrid? They will not have to buy another midfielder for 12, 13 years with them, you know. So, but again, they still have to go out and get him. But no, look, I understand what you're saying. Absolutely, I do. But look, I mean, I wouldn't be against Kovacic. Absolutely not. But look, we'll go on and talk about Bellingham in relation to midfielders while we're on the subject. And Manchester United reportedly bidding 120 million euro for Jude Bellingham. Now, so let's go down through this, and obviously we can all take everything with a pinch of salt. So let's see what happens. Manchester United's search for reinforcements is expected to ramp up in the coming weeks with the transfer window fast approaching. Ten Hag has prioritised a centre forward and a midfielder to add to his squad next season. One player expected to make big move this summer is Borussia Dortmund's Jude Bellingham. Bellingham has emerged as blah, blah, blah. Yeah, okay. Erik ten Hag is a keen admirer. However, recent widespread reports suggest Bellingham has chosen Real Madrid as his next destination and is only waiting on the clubs to agree the details of the deal before an official announcement. This served for a blow for the rest of Europe, as many queue for his signature. But as reported, Sport Witness Italian media suggests the door might not be completely shut just yet. United have apparently submitted a late 120 million bid for the 19-year-old, which would meet Dortmund's valuation. Despite the reported attempts, it would be a major shock to see Bellingham line up at Old Trafford next season, blah, 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 blah. Okay, so basically what this report is suggesting is it's not suggesting anything to the contrary that Real Madrid are still favourites. And of course, they're still favourites for him. But Manchester United, according to these reports, have tabled a bid that basically matches the valuation that Borussia Dortmund have put on Bellingham's head. Now, we seen what happened last year. Was it last summer or the summer before? Between it was last summer, wasn't it? Between Real Madrid and Kylian Mbappe. Now, we've seen transfers fall through with a dodgy fax machine. David De Gea. So, having a tabled bid for Jude Bellingham, regardless if the deal is being worked out between Real Madrid and Borussia Dortmund, is never a bad thing. It's not a bad thing. It really isn't. Now, I go back to what I say all of the time. Take everything with a pinch of salt. Just, you should always, when it comes to the transfer window, when Manchester United, just, take a bag of salt or a bowl of salt and just be ready to take a pinch of it every fucking 6 hours as a United fan being linked with players. But, I mean, if these reports are to be believed, the offer is on the table and it's matched Borussia Dortmund's valuation of the players. So if for some reason, talks between Real Madrid and Borussia Dortmund and Bellingham's representatives break down, hello, Eric here, would you like to come and play for United? So there you go. You know what I mean? But look, again, it would be a really, really, really big surprise if Bellingham was to move to United at this stage. But again, I've seen stranger things happen. I really have. But again, look, I wouldn't be against it. And I don't think any Manchester United fan would be against it, if I'm being 100% honest. Right, let's take a little break from transfers for a moment. And let's talk about, obviously, the potential new owners of Manchester United. Let me take a drink of water here because I am absolutely parched. So anyway, where was I? Takeover of Manchester United. Obviously, we know it's down to basically two. We would hope it's down to two between Sir Jim Ratcliffe and the Qataris. Now, we've heard reports over the last 24 hours or so that the Qataris, I think they're trying to butter up the fan base and the British media and stir some interest and so on and so forth. Before I go any further, what we're going to talk about here is not going to influence the Glazers in any way, shape, or form in their decision. If they don't give a flying F what Jim Ratcliffe or the Qataris do once the money is handed over. But reports have suggested in the last 24 hours or so that Sheikh Jassim planning interesting hierarchy changes at Manchester United if his bid is successful. Okay. Now, it also goes on to say he wants Manchester United legends in key roles if takeover bid is successful. All right. Now, let's have a read down through this. Sources have told Mark Ogden that Sheikh Jassim bin Hamad Al Thani intends to offer Manchester United greatest players from Sir Alex Ferguson's most successful teams in the chance to return to Old Trafford in prominent roles. Of course, Sheikh Jassim will need to win the race to buy the club before he introduces anything like this, but it's telling that these briefs are starting to roll out. Okay, now, why are these reports coming out now? Why not before the bids were going in? Okay, so she says Roy Keane as director of football. Now that would be something. That would be something. But look, let's break this down. Why haven't these reports and why hasn't this been stated, or why hasn't it been in the public domain before, say, a bid was going in? You know, if he was adamant on bringing these people in, or if it was something that he wanted to do beforehand, he probably would have put it into the media campaign and, letting it know that he wants to bring former players back and, make Manchester United whole again and all this kind of stuff. Is there a tellingness here and is there a suggestion that maybe we're coming to the end of the decision making by the Glazers, and that maybe the Qataris have, now this is all speculation, but maybe have the Qataris been chosen as the new owners because these reports and these leaks that are coming out about what the Qataris want to do when they take over are not going to benefit their bid. They're not going to benefit or sway the Glazers in any way, shape, or form in relation to what, decision they make and who they sell the club to. So is this the start of the potential new owners rolling out their plan and starting to butter up the fans a little bit? Now, that can sound very conspiratorial, but it can also sound very smart in relation to, okay, they know something obviously that the general public don't know, and they're starting to feed a little bit of information, starting to get the fans buttered up, so that when it is announced, everybody is up in arms about the Qataris, and hooray and all of that kind of stuff. Now, look, I still already think that ever since the reports of Jim Ratcliffe, siding with the Glazers, again, I don't think that's the case. Let me be 100% clear. I think he's happy to keep them on in a minority position for the first couple of years until he can officially buy them out. But again, look, me personally, I want Qatar. But look, I think this is very clever out of the Qataris. I have to say, I think if this is what they are going to be doing, and this is the kind of, and they have found out maybe secretly or in private that they are going to be the new owners, then I think this is a smart move. But again, it would be interesting to see. It would be interesting to see. And reports have suggested as well. Let me see, can I find them about potential? I read somewhere. I can't find it right now at the moment, but supposedly Gary Neville is one of these players that is going to be brought on board if the Qataris are successful and so on and so forth. But look, I think it's a good thing. I would not be putting them in charge of anything that they're not qualified to be in charge of. I wouldn't be bringing Nani back to be director of football just because he won a Champions League in 2008, or, I'd be putting Patrice Evra in charge of the sound speaker in the dressing room or something, or, the guy that greets them at the door. Hey, I love this game, and all that kind of stuff. I think it's very important that we put the proper people in charge of the proper things. Obviously we've seen the likes of Edwin van der Sar and the great work he's done at Ajax. Maybe is that a ploy from them? And Inter Milan have a penalty, and we're going to talk about the guy who just won it. Let's do it right now. And actually, no, I won't. But similarly, let's go back to Van der Sar, and I think if it's people like him and like Gary Neville and people, that are steeped in football and know what they're talking about, know what they're doing in certain areas, then I'm okay for it. I really am. John O'Shea, new goalkeeper coach, says Cottle. Let's see. Irish lad says, wonder would they take Sancho back? Oshin says, this is a battle of hearts and minds now. Yeah, absolutely it is. Shane says, I personally would not want any legendary player, bar maybe Van der Sar and maybe Roy in a security guard position, but need the best footballing brains at the higher roles. Absolutely. 100%. And Oshin says, our future striker just won a penalty. Maybe so. Let's get on to it. So look, if we're talking about future strikers, obviously we know that the main one is this guy, okay? And Victor Osimhen. Nah, that's not a penalty. That's a dive. 1 sec now. Yeah, that's a dive. If that penalty is given, by the way, it's a complete another dive. But anyway, no penalty. Okay, so let's get back to the news. So look, obviously, this guy is the main guy that we're looking at in relation to signing in the summer alongside Harry Kane. Now, we're not going to talk about Harry Kane tonight. We've done enough talking about him for the moment. But we'll go through this. So, wrong strategy gives Manchester United the advantage for top target as new €160 million price tag is revealed. Now, let me just clarify something before we go any further. This is a Qatari signing, okay? Because €160 million is monstrous for a player and for a striker. But, I mean, you would get Harry Kane for half that. Probably a little bit over half. But anyway, let's see what it says here. Manchester United have been told that they now have to pay €160 million if they want to sign Napoli striker Victor Osimhen this summer. The Red Devils are still looking for a replacement for Cristiano Ronaldo, blah, blah, blah. Let's see, where are we going? Now they have to bring in a centre forward, blah, 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 blah. Reports earlier this year claimed that Manchester United boss Eric Ten Hag was sold on the idea of bringing Harry Kane from Tottenham, with the England international about to enter the final year of his contract in North London. But they face a grueling negotiation for Kane, with Tottenham chairman Daniel Levy understood to be unwilling to sell two Premier League rivals, especially Manchester United. Now, another option is Victor Osimhen, who is currently leading the Serie A goal-scoring charts this season with 23 goals, but the Red Devils could face competition from Chelsea, Arsenal, and a number of clubs desperate for a proven striker. Okay? Big stumbling block, you would say. A report at the end of April claimed that Manchester United were in pole position for the Nigerian international, and now Italian publication Il Mattino claimed that the Red Devils have advantage over interested clubs. By pursuing Osimhen, or by pursuing a deal for Osimhen last August using the wrong strategy, Manchester United have put themselves ahead of others in the race for the 24-year-old. So basically what this boils down to is Manchester United made a late move for Osimhen last year, okay? And because they've made that late move, they basically can just pick up where they left off in this transfer window. Connections have been made. Manchester United representatives have spoken to Osimhen's representatives, have spoken to Napoli about him. The connections are there. Now, what has changed is the bloody price tag, okay? Because 160 million is crazy, beyond belief money for a striker who has never scored a goal in the Premier League. You know what I mean? Never scored a goal in the Premier League. Now, let's look at the alternative. The alternative in relation to your first choice is obviously Harry Kane. He has scored in the Premier League, and you could get him for a lot cheaper. Now, there's pros and cons to this, and I was thinking about this today, and basically my thought process is 160 million, deal done fast for Osimhen. Harry Kane, 80 million, deal done very slowly. So, you know, obviously we need more than one signing this summer, you know, and I think, and it goes back to what we said an awful lot last summer in the transfer window, that you have to get the balance between quality and quantity right. Now, I think Ten Hag did a pretty good job of it last summer. We did slightly overpay because, you know, we delayed in certain transfers and things like that, and that was understandable. And I think we are going to be smarter this summer. I hope we're smarter this summer. But again, that balance between quality and quantity has to be met, because if we spend 160 million on Osimhen, it's over. You're not getting anyone else. You know, you're not getting Frankie de Jong. You're not getting Kim Min-jae. You're not getting, you know, Ruben Neves or whoever it may be. You know, you're basically putting all your eggs in one basket and going into next season with the same squad we've had this season, plus Osimhen. And that's not going to work. You know, it really isn't. So I think if Napoli are adamant on this price, we will not be signing Victor Osimhen. We just won't be, unless Qatar come. And even if Qatar come in, you know, you still have financial fair play to deal with. And financial fair play, you know, on the back of what we spent last summer, we haven't sold anybody. We've got high wages. I don't see this deal happening. Now, 100 million maybe, 120 million maybe, but 160 million euro, you can forget about. You can absolutely forget about. Now, while we're talking about Victor Osimhen, it has been suggested recently in the last 24 hours or so in relation to a alternative who's actually playing at the moment, and it's this guy. A significant update on Man United striker pursuit as they weigh up easier option. Now, Lautaro Martinez is the option. I think it's a cheaper option. So let's go down through this here real quick. So Manchester United are weighing up the possibility of making a bid for Inter Milan striker Lautaro Martinez this summer, according to reports. Obviously, you know, goes on blah blah blah. Weghorst unlikely to be part of the plans. Widespread reports have claimed that it is now a top priority. Harry Kane, Victor Osimhen, and Gonzalo Ramos among the names linked. And now Football Insider claimed that there has been a significant update in the Red Devils' pursuit of Inter Milan striker Martinez, with Manchester United actively monitoring the situation of the Argentina international. Now, it doesn't mention anything in relation to a price, but again, United have been on the trail for a number of years for the 25-year-old. Good age, you know what I mean? Priority number one. You know, so Inter Milan tend to be I won't say easy club to deal with, but easier club in relation to Napoli, for example, if you're going to Victor Osimhen. Now, the one thing that I'm going to look at here is I'm going to look at his stats for this season alone, okay? If we look at his stats, and we obviously, you know, we're looking at goals here. Let me zoom in on it here for everybody to see. We're looking at goals here, and obviously we're talking Serie A, Champions League, Italian Cup, and Supercoppa Italia. So 49 games played, 23 goals. Okay, 19 goals in the league. Okay, and we know what do we say Victor Osimhen has? 24, 25, I think. Now, my worry with this guy, I worry about him. And I don't know what it is. I have to say, I just don't know what it is about him. Now, look, he's playing in the Champions League semi-final as we speak. And I'm pretty certain he's captain. So he just gives me that feeling of a player that is going to come from the Serie A and flop in the Premier League. I don't know why. I don't know why. But he gives me that. He rubs me up the wrong way. Now, if we go out and spend 60, 70 million on him and he turns out to be a flop, regardless of the money you would have spent on Harry Kane or Victor Osimhen or whoever it may be, you're not scoring goals. And we have to basically guarantee goals out of a striker and whoever we buy this summer. So, I don't know. This guy just rubs me up the wrong way. I don't know what it is. I know he's a good footballer, but I just get the feeling that he could be one of them players that comes from Italy and flops. You know what I mean? But if we do get him, or if we do end up signing him, I hope I'm wrong. Let's see what people are saying here. Shane says, let's be real. Callum Wilson is more in our price bracket. We need minimum of 6 starting players next year, and he is definitely not worth that money. If we only need 1 or 2 players, then go for him. Yeah, look, I understand what you're saying, Shane, but we're not skinned. You know what I mean? Manchester United are not skinned. We're going to be able to spend money this summer. We're going to be able to spend 150 to 200 million again this summer. We just are. You know, our revenue generated, we're going to be getting players off the books. You know, we're probably going to get rid of Harry Maguire. We're probably going to get rid of Scott McTominay. We're probably going to get rid of Donny van de Beek. We're probably going to get rid of Alex Telles. We're probably going to get rid of Eric Bailly. We're probably going to get rid of Martial. Wout Weghorst is not staying around, even though we're not going to get any money for him. We're probably going to get rid of Elanga. You know, these kinds of players. I mean, that's 9 players that I mentioned there. You know what I mean? So all of that is money coming in and his wages off the books. So we're not going to be skint either. I wouldn't be overly worried. But we are, if we have another summer, this summer, like we did last year, without clearing the books and without getting money in, then I would be worried about FFP. But this summer, I'm not. You know what I mean? Oshin says, if we get straight swap Martial for Martinez, which is an option I've heard, job done. Absolutely. Absolutely. That you could still go out and buy Harry Kane and have Martinez, Lautaro Martinez there as well then. You really could. Shane says, with FFP, Man United can only spend 90 million absolute max this year. And Irish Lad says, I don't think Osimhen would be able for the Prem. There we go. So, I mean, look, everyone has their own opinions, guys. And it's something that's going to rumble on for a long time with this. And I'm going to finish on a positive note as well, which is something I was really happy to see today. And it is this, that Man United want loanee sensation involved during FA Cup final, which is great to hear. Manchester United have invited Ahmad along to join and support the squad during the season's FA Cup final against rivals Manchester City. So he's eager to include the young Ivorian attacker in the side's potential FA Cup celebrations. And it's a lovely touch out of Eric Ten Hag, and it's fucking brilliant man management. It really is. Eric Ten Hag knows he has potentially a good player in this young lad. He wants to keep him under his wing. It remains to be seen whether he's going to keep him next season or whether he's going to loan him out. That remains to be seen, and that's up to the manager. And I'm sure he's going to do whatever is best for United and for the kid himself. But it's a lovely touch out of Ten Hag, I have to say, and I was delighted to hear it. I really was. But yeah, happy days. Shane says, hand on heart, do you really think Richard Arnold is capable of doing all them deals as well as by his players? Well, look, I mean, he's not doing it all on his own. You know what I mean? And I'm sure if we've got new owners, they'll hire new people to help him out as well. So, look, he's not going to be doing it on his own. But look, the one thing I would say, okay, and I understand, you know, exactly what you're saying, Shane, and I you know, there are points there that I do agree with John. The important thing is let's stay positive, because it's not all doom and gloom. You know, top 4, and we've already got a trophy in the bag. Top 4, I still think is in our hands, and I still think we'll do it. And potential new owners coming in. Glazer's gone, you know, potentially. So it's not all doom and gloom. It really isn't. But look, guys, that's it for tonight. Really appreciate everybody getting involved. If you haven't already done so, please smash a like on the video. If you're new to the channel, please do hit the subscribe button. We do these as much as possible. I'm going to be doing an awful lot more. They're going to be coming a lot more regular now. Evening news shows, guys, at 8 o'clock every night. Now that the season is winding down, we're getting into transfer activity and all that kind of stuff. So I'm going to be doing a hell of a lot more of them. I'm going to be probably doing some more, maybe morning shows as well, and or maybe afternoon shows. But the evening ones are going to be the staple now for the summer. So make sure you're hitting that subscribe button if you haven't already done so. We're closing in on 4,000 subscribers. And of course, we're going to be doing the rest of the watch-alongs for the remainder of the season. We're back for the members-only chat tomorrow night as well, which I'm looking forward to. We haven't done one in a few weeks. So if you do want to become an official member and get involved and come live on the screen with us and have a chat, all things United, check out the link in the description. And any of the members that are watching at the moment, I'll be posting the link on the community tab tomorrow afternoon. So make sure you're keeping an eye out for it if you want to come live on the screen as well. I'd love to meet some more of you. I know we've got Ben, Oshin, and Krista that have been on loads with us, but I'd like to meet more of the members, guys, rather than just seeing your name. So if you do want to come on, feel free. I'd love to put a face to the name. But again, no pressure at all. You want to just stay in the comment section, that's perfectly fine. I appreciate the support. But guys, look, thanks for watching. I really appreciate it. Until tomorrow night, take it easy.